creepiest stories ever. A horror movie or book or show gets your heart pumping in the moment, sure, but you can at least rest easy afterwards knowing what you experienced was a work of fiction. What's more terrifying is when the real world gets creepier than anything Stephen King could dream up. Real terror happens around us every day, even if it's not always making it onto your timeline. Murders, disappearances, demonic possession, and devil worship aren't just stories from a writer's mind, but headlines ripped straight from the news. We have rounded up some of the most horrifying, unexplained real-world stories below. Black Tall Man on the Road. Back in 2005, I was in a band that toured the country in a 15-passenger van with a trailer. We were on the way from Columbus, Ohio to Erie, Pennsylvania. The show had been canceled in Ohio due to a power outage, so we decided to get on the road early as we had friends in Erie who were taking us in for the night. I'll never forget this moment for the rest of my life. We were all having a conversation. There were 8 of us total in the van when the driver and passenger both shouted simultaneously, "What the was that?" I'm getting goosebumps on my arms right now just remembering the event. I was sitting being the driver with my back against the window, and I didn't see anything, but we heard a whooshing noise as if something flew right over the van. My friend who was sitting next to me looked like he had just seen a ghost. We wound up pulling over on the side of the road because everyone was freaking out, thinking we hit something. Nothing was found. Both the passenger and driver said they saw a tall black figure lunge at the van from the shoulder of the left lane. My friend who was sitting next to me said the same thing. The next day we inspected the van in daylight and noticed there were streak marks across the roof of the van. Kid near the bed. When I was 7, I suddenly awoke in the middle of the night to a young child kneeling near my bed praying. At first I thought it was my younger brother, so I asked him what he was doing. After I asked, he slowly looked at me and stood up and started running. So I hopped out of bed and followed him down my stairs and out my front door. We had a long driveway, and I followed him all the way to the end, and then he simply vanished. I went back to my room, and nothing like that has happened since. Is she back? When I was about 14, I was staying up way too late on the computer. It was about 2 a.m. in the morning, and everyone else was asleep. I got thirsty and wandered down the hallway to get a drink. I didn't bother to turn on any lights since there was a nightlight in the hallway, and there was enough light to get by. I'm walking back to the bedroom when I get this weird feeling like someone is watching me, and turn around. There's this big white mist just floating right behind me. I immediately turned around and went back into the safe, bright room. The thing is, there were no windows facing that hallway, and I hadn't passed the nightlight yet, so it definitely wasn't a trick of the light. All the doors leading to the hallway were also closed. A few years later, when I was moved to the small room closest to that spot, I got the heebie-jeebies and couldn't sleep without a lamp on. It wasn't until some time later after the sighting that I learned that in the 80s, a guy was renting out the house. He was arrested for the kidnap, rape, and disappearance of a bunch of kids in the area, and for the suspected murder of his wife. They never found her, and she supposedly ran away, according to him. Cadaver dogs went over the farm, but they never found anything. The cops must not have done a good job, though, because when they moved in, my mom found a pair of boys' underwear in the toilet tank. The missing wife was never found, and he died in prison about a decade ago. I think she is still there, though. Slipper is back. This happened when I was just about 4 years old. We lived in a really small apartment that had 2 rooms. When you enter our room, you could just see the kitchen, and there's a doorway on the left, which is our bedroom. I was playing in the bedroom and got my slipper stuck under the bed. I can't seem to get it since there's only a 2-inch gap under the bed. I don't know what got into me, but I started chanting something like "Slipper, get out now," over and over again. Then I got this feeling of dread, and I got scared, so I ran away. After a few minutes, I sneaked to the bedroom and found my slipper a foot away from the bed. I ran inside to get it and got out as fast as I can. I don't know how it could have happened. As a little girl with an overactive imagination, I just assumed a rat passed by, heard me, and just pushed my slipper out of there. Man on the mirror. When my boyfriend was about 4 years old, he would talk to a man he saw in the mirror. Naturally, his parents were curious about his behavior and asked him questions about the man. He told his parents details about the man, including his appearance, hobbies, and how he died. It turns out that one of the former owners of the house was a man who had committed suicide in the house, and he matched the descriptions of the man my boyfriend saw in the mirror. When his parents found out, they moved out of the house a month later. Who grabbed me? I was visiting my dad last summer and trying to fall asleep when suddenly I felt a hand grab my ankle. I kicked furiously at whatever was grabbing me, jumped out of bed and screamed. There was nothing there. My dad came running into the room and found me sitting on the floor facing the bed. He asked me what was wrong and didn't believe me when I said nothing, that I thought something grabbed me, and even checked the closet. I immediately felt embarrassed, but it felt so real. I've never had something like that happen before or since.